right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Let's send the message to everyone. Perfect. All right. SK, my man, you're back. Welcome. Hopefully you had a good vacation, man. Oscar, good morning. Eric, yo, yo, yo. Marshall, good morning. Dally, hi, how you doing? Don, my man, good morning. Daniel, good morning. All right, guys, let me know how the audio and video is. If it's all good, we'll get going here in about 5 minutes. We'll let people kind of tune in, and then we'll get right into it. Vasey, good morning. Edgar, good morning. I'm sure he did. He did indeed. Nancy, good morning. Daniel, thumbs up. Nancy says good. Perfect. Everything's good. All right. So we'll just hang around here 3 more minutes, and then we'll get right to it. All right. Pretty interesting push into the market here. We hit that 441.18 nicely. So we'll see what we do here. Gonna wait a few more minutes for everyone to kind of tune in here. I got 8:32, 8:35. We'll get started. Hopefully we get a few more people coming. I know it's a little early, 8:30 a.m., but it's the only time we can really squeeze in. That gives us a nice buffer before market actually opens. See where all the early morning risers are. Usually after like 8:35, 8:45 is when people start coming in. All right, a few more minutes. One more minute and we'll get cracking here. All right. Evans, where's our boy J.E.'s? Yeah, I know. Marinos for me this afternoon. That's awesome. Vishnu, good morning. Wilson, good morning. All right. Sky, good morning. All right, guys. Coming up to that 8:35 a.m. here. So we'll get right to it. So here we are on the SPY. All right, guys, we've talked about every Thursday that I do this, we talked about that 50 moving average, that 50 moving average, that 50 moving average. Well, we closed below it, and we got those 2 days of close under it. And here we are, we trying to fill that gap towards that 441 area, right? 441.18 was the exact number that I was kind of looking for, because we've had some resistance there at the 441.18, right? This gap was fully filled in the overnight session, and actually this early morning, right? So let's take a look at the closer time frame here and kind of see what I'm talking about. So this is that exact same gray area that you saw on the daily, right? Once we broke under that 418 area, we kind of took off, sold off here. And if we can get back above this, which we did yesterday, we could kind of try to fill that 418 gap. And you can see we hit it literally to the penny and kind of sold off. All right. So what are we looking for here in regards to the market overall, right? Clearly, just like any other scenario, there's always two things that can happen. Obviously, we can go up or down, but what are we looking at for the upside, right? So let me put this back on my lines here, right? So we got that 418 area. Okay, ideally, we really need to get back above this 441.18 in order to track higher. Okay, if we break that 441.18 area and we manage to stay above it, we're going to see 442. That's the next resistance area, and then 443.96, right? Above that, we could see a push to 445.32, and I think we'll get a little bit exhausted here and see some selling pressure. All right, but first at hand, we need to get above 441.18, right? Now, if we get here, reject, and come back down and lose the 440 again, where could we go down to? Well, we have our next area of support right here at 438. That's the area that we might see some buying pressure. Lose that, then we're going to 437.87, and then 436.75. Ideally, I would really want this level to hold, because if we don't, then we're looking at, numbers back down towards that 433.93, which is not something I kind of want to mess with today anyways. All right, so staying a little bit neutral today only because that gap has officially been filled. We might get that pop at the open back to that 441.18. So we actually put that gap fill candle in on the daily, right? Because what happens in pre-market doesn't actually show up on the daily chart, right? So we might get that push out the gates towards that 441.18, 441.20 level, and then sell off. But ideally, I need to stay above that. Now let's take a look at the Qs. Right, what do we have with the Qs? Similar story, right? Similar look. We hit that 373 area. That's an area that I've been talking about for a few days as well. Now, if we go into the Qs chart, right, we had that gap right here at 373, right, which happens to be perfectly lined up almost with that 20-day moving average, and that was the gap that it had to fill. And in the pre-market, it did fill that gap, right? So if we go back to the 15-minute time frame, we hit that 373 area. Let me put my levels back on. We hit that 373 area and rejected. Above that 373 area, we actually have a nice room to make a move back up, right? So if we can somehow get back above that 373, we're looking at a push back to that 374.98, and then above that we could try to attempt that 376.56 level, right? Yeah, and then over that, obviously we have one more resistance point, a little bit too extended here, but we'll see. If we've seen the market kind of do strange things, if we get a strong push, consolidate, and we can kind of hit those upper targets, but mainly looking at these two for now. If we get over that 373, again, just like the SPY, if we do reject that 373, what are we looking to fall down to? Obviously the 372, right? If we reject the 373, we're going to come back down to that 371.97 area. Lose that, we're looking at 370, only because we have some resistance here yesterday, that 370.55 area, and then we're coming down all the way down to that 368. All right, so a little bit of a gap here chart here on the Qs. We're over 373. We're gonna get a nice push, and if we reject that 371.90 area, we could very easily come back to the 368.84, and then ultimately we can try to retest these 368, 367s, right? So we're really gonna have to wait it out here. Don't lean too bullish, don't lean too bearish. Kind of need to see what the market wants to do, and if we're gonna kind of push out and stay above these levels, or are we gonna just consolidate and just have a chop fest day type of event. All right, that's as far as the SPYs and the Qs goes. I'm gonna go and look into the chat here, so you guys are more than welcome to let me know any tickers you want me to take a look at. We'll do that. I'll go over anything you guys want me to see, and if you have any questions, I will answer it for you guys as well. Good morning. Ganesh, good morning. Green, my average is 45. Should I average down or wait until November? GREE. Holy shit. I have no idea what this company does. Given the chart, it looks like every time it pumps, someone dumps on it and continues to dump on it. So not really sure the reasoning behind why you bought this stock. Not really sure if you understand what they do. Not really sure if you understand their financials. By the looks of it, it looks like you just FOMO bought to have an average of 45. And this thing keeps selling off every time it pops up. I'm not really sure. Again, I don't know what they have in the future for them. This is something I would never touch with a 10-foot pull. There's no pattern, pops. Every candle is a red candle. So that just goes to tell you that obviously even the institutions and the holders themselves are just dumping every chance they get. So a little bit alarming here on GREE. Bhupinder, good morning. Saad, CRM. CRM, you got to tell me what you're thinking, right? Just put in CRM question mark. It's not really going to help me out with what type of trade you want to do on it. Looking at the chart, if you're looking for something short term, you really need to get this above 261.75. It's kind of flagging here, but it's had a sell-off, so it needs a reversal over 261.75, and then you can look for targets of 268 and possibly 270. All right, but again, you have to wait for that breakout of the 261.75, and then you can have stops at the 255 area. Okay, other than that, not ready currently to take a position here. It could very easily roll over and fall down. That's why you need that confirmation over 261.75. mRNA, nice chart here, nice, falling wedge pennant forming above that 20-day moving average, nice breakout. Targets of at least 464 should come. If you're long, you can hold on to this one for a little bit farther. 463, 464. Great chart. The only concerning issue with this was the volume is not really here, right? But it could very well push on that low volume as well. At least it's not decreasing, it's staying very level here. We could come back, retest that 424 before making a move higher, but currently it does look good for further upside. PayPal. So again, PayPal getting pulled down with market conditions. You can see it's stuck in this 273.37, 266 area. Needs to clear 273.27 to put it back in the gap fill to possibly get back up to this 277 area. Okay. Other than that, it's going to chop around, and it needs to make a decision one way or the other where it wants to go. Currently, it's sticking closer to the 2073 area, which is a good sign. Pre-market, it's at 274.50, so above that. If it can hold above that, then we're looking at a push towards that 277 area on PayPal. Okay. NEO. So NEO, again, another China name that's kind of getting hurt as well, along with the China China stories and whatnot. Looking to add to this one. Nothing in the short term. Wouldn't touch this thing short term. Not much momentum in it. Candles are getting really small and tight. Doesn't have much range in it. If it can get under that 34.50 area, I'm looking to add around 34. And if we can get down to 30, I'll add for the long term of the 30. And that's probably going to be my last add on NEO here. Tesla better to wait for the break of 765. Looks like it has resistance at 761. Is this right? So if we take a look at Tesla here, Tesla pre-market not bad, right? We have some resistance right here at 760. If we take a 760, we're looking at 765 targets, and then over 765, we can get an explosive move higher. But pre-market 760 would be the trigger for the long side, and then on the daily here over 765, you might get that push towards that 780 area. But over 760, pre-market triggers to 765, and then you can try to take profits and see how it does over there. Can we do Disney and Roku? Sure. Guys, if you guys are tuned in, make sure you go ahead and smash the like button. There's about 30 of you here and only 6 likes. All right, can we do Disney and Roku? So Disney, very aggressive sell-off. This name seems to just struggle at these like 186, 190 numbers. All right, if we go back out, just look at how long it's been kind of stuck here. It fails to get over 190, fails to get over 186. It just keeps struggling here, right? If you're trying to dip by this, I mean, we have some support here at 170, 167, but to me, this looks like a bearish setup. We have an aggressive sell-off here. We have a candle that is not that pretty, so we could very easily pull down, have a few days of consolidation, and then form an H and kind of roll over, which is actually very bearish, right? Not something I want to buy down here. I don't have a specific pattern. I don't have a reversal pattern. There's nothing here except a massive sell-off day with a rest day essentially for maybe more further continuation sell-offs on it, right? Again, not something I want to buy. Don't have a pattern. Don't have a reversal. Wouldn't touch this thing short term. Let's take a look at Roku. So a lot of people are talking about Roku today. Again, I'm not a fan of it here, right? So for a day trade purpose, if you get over this 336 area, you could push to the 340. But chart wise, 336, it's sitting at 334. 336 is a 20-day moving average. Above that, you have resistance at 340. So you're coming into an area of lots of resistance here. 340, 345 area is going to be resistance. You have 20-day moving average at 336. I don't like to go into these areas with overhead resistance, right? I like to trade something. For example, if we get over, I'm not saying this stock, but in general, just looking at this chart, if you get over this level, there's lots of area that you can move into without having moving average resistance or actual daily resistance in your way. With Roku, 336 is a 20-day moving average resistance, right? If it can clear that, if we get an explosive move out the gates, you could try to chase this thing right out of the gates over 336 for a move to 340, possibly 342, and you got to get out there in case you see some selling pressure. So that's the only play I would do on this Roku intraday today. Roku to the upside. So we just talked about Roku. 340, 320, 336 is going to be 20-day moving average on it. So you got to be careful, and ultimately 348 can be the next resistance area on Roku. MA holding contracts till November, and they are 90% down. Wow. So again, not sure when you bought these. Not sure when you bought these or what your reasoning was for buying them. You really need to start thinking about why you're buying things, and do you see a specific setup or a pattern in it. to come to me and say my options are down 90%, what do I do? Well, why are they down 90% anyways? What was your game plan? Your game plan was to wait till your options become 100% at loss and then establish what you want to do. This clearly tells me you have no game plan and you don't understand why you bought the stock. So it makes me frustrated for you to ask me that question and say I'm down 90%, what do I do? Well, clearly you don't care about your money, so just let it expire and just hope for the best. Other than that, next time you get into a position, make sure there's a specific pattern. If you're not understanding what patterns are, if you don't know what patterns are, do a very basic Google search on stock patterns and you'll see them. Visa, there's nothing here. Or sorry, MasterCard, there's nothing here. We are under the moving averages, under the 200, pop back up, 200, the 20-day moving average is acting as resistance now. Lost support, this is probably going to act as resistance again until we really get back above the 20-day moving average and get back above the 353. I'm not sure what strike you got or what, how far out in the money you are, but it doesn't look good right now. You could at this point you've already accepted the loss of 90% of your options. So just hold on to it and see if it can pop back up, get some sort of a miracle, and maybe you can get out at 30-40% loss. Okay. Finally, add to Jumaya. Yeah, I'm being a little greedy with Jumaya. Jumaya it's been hurting me so much that I'm not adding yet. I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting. I missed the add at 17. If it does get back down there, I would want to add, but I also don't want it to get down there. So we'll see what it wants to do. Again, this is something long term. If you haven't added at all, maybe you can look to add it around 18, 17 area. But other than that, it's still looking good. It's starting to get flatter. It's starting to go more sideways. This is all good signs. Eventually, the target on this is more than a year or two. So we'll eventually get this to pop back up. Not too worried about this one. I think they should do great. And if not, maybe they get bought out. CRM gapped up to 267 this morning. CRM gapped up to 267. Okay, so if it gapped up to 267, then that's telling you that you only have like 3 or 4 cents to the top side before you hit no more resistance. So is that something you're going to chase up here? You're going to chase that? I wouldn't chase it, right? There's no setup. You don't have a flag pattern. You don't have anything kind of forming here. If you were watching it all day, maybe you had some sort of a setup right here, right? Maybe you had some sort of a setup pre-market where you could have took that flag breakout. But other than that, to chase the move from 259 to 270 is not something that I want to do, nor am I interested in it. Nvidia long today. Nvidia had a very strong day yesterday. Let's take a look at what the SPY is doing right now. So very strong day yesterday on Nvidia, currently sitting at 221, which is a good sign. I just really hope that the market kind of cooperates with it today, right? Very strong move, needs to stay above that 220 in order to move higher. I wouldn't take long calls over it until we clear that 220-250 area. Because otherwise, if we sell off here, we can come back up, and then the 220-250 area will act as a resistance on the intraday level. Okay, so got to take that into consideration here. Lucid puts. Yeah, you could try it under 25, but volatility might be a little high on these. See if it gets under 25. Ideally 24.40 is the area that you want to look at it, but I think there's better plays out there to trade Lucid on the downside. Dali, hit that like button, people. Anur, thanks, I appreciate it. Saad, thanks, no problem. Disney short. Like I said, I don't think it's not really there. There's no real setup here. Maybe if it gets under the 170, 170 area, you could try to short it as a break of yesterday's lows. but it might just chop around and kind of slowly grind higher before it rolls over. I don't think it's ready yet. It might maybe move up a little bit higher towards that 176 area before rolling over, but it's just going to be very choppy and slow action here. Not something I want to get a headache with. Can you give us some price targets on you? Oh boy, good old you. So I had this on the watch list. I think a few members took this trade. Now sitting at 139. Yeah, pretty much 139 here. Over this 139.22, daily has room to 146.87 on you. I think this day alone, the indication on this day with this big massive green volume was a good sign. And that was a great setup coming into that 20-day moving average. This pullback obviously was just the market doing its thing. However, right back to 139, 139.45 area, over that 146.87 Bhupinder. All right, guys. So I think that's pretty much it. I've gone through all your questions. As usual, guys, remember every Thursday I am live here on YouTube. I'm going to go over the market and ask, when you guys ask questions, I'll answer them as well. And that will be every Thursday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. So I'm going to stick around for a little bit longer here, right up until 9 a.m. And then I'll sign off. If you guys don't have any questions, I'm still going to be here for a few minutes. Take a look at coin. Tesla day trade open once. Yeah, so Tesla, if you want to take it over 760, that would be the trigger on Tesla. They're on 760 towards the 765 area. Damn, I can't believe coin is pushing up right now. Bhupinder, no worries, my man. Oh wait, that's BSL. I just realized. I think he means 760 on the Tesla. We talked about Nvidia calls today. Nvidia calls needs to get over 220. Sorry, yeah, 222, 222.50. So this is exactly what I was worried about, right? If we fall down, we can very easily come back to that 220, possibly 219 area before actually tracking back higher. The breakout trade would be 222.50, but given the way the market's kind of pulling back right now, I don't think you're going to get that immediately. You might have to wait for a chop around before you actually get up to the 222.50 area for the Nvidia calls. Okay, I'll see you in live audio. Yes, sir. All right, guys, looks like I answered everyone's questions. We have 24 viewers and 23 likes. I think it's the first time I've seen them even. Appreciate every single one of you guys. I'll catch you guys here next week at the same time, 8:30, and we'll do this all over again. Have a wonderful day, and make sure you respect your money and take profits when they come.